to the Generic Management 4 workshop with Charterville Business College. We are going to be dealing with business communication. Now, although you may be exempt from this unit standard because you have your matric certificate, you may not have been exposed to the world of business until you started working. So we're going to approach this subject from that premise. In these unit standards, we will explore writing and presenting for a range of contexts in the business environment. We will be considering how to read, interpret, and then respond in a business manner to the different types of texts. Let's look at written communication. Our existing knowledge and our place in society and our job and life experiences, etc., all have an impact on how we understand what we read. So just as these factors are important for readers to keep in mind, authors and speakers must also keep them in mind. When you are writing a text, a letter or book or a notice or a newspaper story, for example, or planning a presentation, the way you write and the words that you use are affected by what you know about that situation that you are writing about. The more you know about what you are writing about, the more you will use jargon or slang. Those are the sort of inside words. Depending on what we want to convey, we might select different vocabulary. So emotional words to create emotional responses in your readers. Sarcasm and irony, which is the mockery of the situation to provoke a reaction in your readers. If you consider embedded understanding, you will assume that the reader knows what you know and feels the same way, that they know the streets and the people you're writing about, and they can understand the words that you use because you were educated at the same schools in the same areas. It follows then that if you are writing for a reader or speaking to a listener who is not like you, someone who is not educated in the same schools that you were and who knows little about your topic, then you will have to take more care in your writing and speaking. You will not use jargon and you will try to avoid too much emotion because you want people to understand your point of view without the emotion clouding the issue. When you find yourself in a situation where you have to write a text or deliver a presentation to communicate, you will follow these steps. Plan your communication. Who is the audience and why are you communicating? Organize the information you have so that it flows and makes sense. Decide on the best style and tone to get your message understood, depending on your audience and the type of message. Decide on the best format. Is it going to be a letter, email, a report, or a presentation, etc.? Write the message or deliver the presentation. Then read the draft and make corrections where necessary. We will now discuss these steps one at a time. Planning your communication. Before you start actually writing your text or delivering your presentation, you should spend some time planning. Now, planning involves identifying the audience and their needs. The identification of the audience for which a message is intended is usually done by considering the following possible factors. So how many people must you write to? What would their age be? Are you talking to a male or a female audience? What's their level of education? What's their cultural background? Maybe I need to take that into account. What's their language ability? And what language are you planning to write in? The knowledge of the subject. What's their knowledge of the subject? Maybe their attitude to the subject. What's their attitude towards the communicator, which would be you, the presenter, or the writer? What would be your objectives of the audience or for the audience after receiving the message? Your objectives for sending the message. Identifying the purpose of the writing. For example, you are writing to inform about a situation, or you're asking for something like help or money, or are you just giving an instruction, or you're writing to apologize for something that's gone wrong, or are you just describing something? Are you recording something or making some sort of agreement or action, or are you wanting to persuade someone to take some action? The purpose of your communication and the type of audience will help you work out how to communicate in writing or verbally. what format your communication should take, a letter, or do we want to hold a meeting? What tone your communication should take, is it going to be formal or informal? Part of planning is also collecting together the information that you will write or speak about, and then deciding how you're going to write or say it so that your audience understands it. To collect information, you will ask questions. You might ask the audience or someone else who is involved. For example, what does the audience already know about the topic? How do they feel about the topic? Why are they interested in the topic? What do they want to know? By when must they know this? So once you've done all your research, you can then decide what type of writing or methodology will be most appropriate. For example, am I going to use an email, or am I writing a report? Is it going to be a letter, or am I writing an article for a newspaper or an in-house magazine? Once all the information has been gathered, it has to be organized to make sure that the final written message says what you want to say, and that each stage flows into the next clearly. The major impact points in any communication are the introduction and the closure. The introduction should aim to grab the attention and provide goodwill and a good first impression. The closure should summarize and urge action. Once you've planned the text, done the research, and decided on your style, you must now decide how to lay the text out. Some types of written texts have an agreed format. For example, reports, or business letters, emails, marketing brochures, memos, faxes, press releases or articles, agendas, minutes, proposals, and essays. Some texts are more informal, like emails. Also, some companies have their own preferred formats, so it is a good idea to do some research in your company if you are writing something there for the first time, to make sure that you use the correct company format. This is especially necessary when communicating outside of the company with external clients. We will now look at some of the more common formats of business communication. The business letter. It's very important to make a good impression when responding to inquiries from customers. The best impression will be made by providing the response that the client has asked for, supported by a well-written text. There are 6 main types of texts sent out by companies, businesses, and other organizations in the normal course of their dealings with other organizations and the general public. They are inquiries, seeking information; quotations, giving information and replies to these inquiries; adjustments, letters which deal with complaints; letters of collection; circulars; advertising; and references and testimonials. The typical format of a letter is as follows. Let's discuss each of these points in more detail. Select the correct stationery. Your company's address will be at the top of the letter, or use your company's letterhead followed by the address of the customer you are writing to with the date. You might also include a reference number for correspondence. Check your organization standards for this. A report is a presentation of facts and findings based on investigation. It is written for a specific purpose, for a specific audience, and it serves as a record and presents ideas and makes recommendations. In the business environment, a report is a document which provides an account of an event, for example, an accident report, or work that has been carried out, for example, a monthly progress report on departmental activities for management. The findings of research, for example, the amount of children contracting measles. A survey, for example, from staff to indicate why a creche needs to be established by the company. Reports are generally required in large companies where managers or donors need summaries and interpretation of facts or events that they don't have time to explore themselves. Reports need to be easy to read with a clear, well-marked structure. Facts must be expressed simply. Reports are not an end in themselves. They are usually springboards for action. Based on the information gained from a report, further discussions are held or recommendations are made by the readers for the report, leading to action to address the given situation. So when you start to make a report, the important things to remember is that you need to create a draft. Once you have written your first draft, it is a good idea to read through it to check what you have written. There are 3 general checks and evaluations that you need to do at this stage. Remember, we are considering communication in a business environment and we have a professional image to uphold. So to summarize, you need to plan what you want to communicate, taking into account who your audience is. You need to organize your thoughts so that it has a logical flow and that you have covered all the points you needed to make. Choose the appropriate method of communication for the audience that you are targeting. Be conscious of your language, tone, and style. Pay attention to your grammar and spelling if it's written communication. Read the whole script and edit it.